Welcome to Adjusting, a safe space for candid conversations about mental health and well-being with your host, Justin G. Nelson. Whether you're recovering from trauma, redefining your purpose, managing mental health, or simply craving more authenticity, this show is for you. I hope something resonates with you and helps you on your own personal journey. So sit back, relax, and let's start adjusting. And welcome back to episode 2 of Adjusting Podcast with your host, Justin G. Nelson. And before we even get into today's topic, I have to sincerely say thank you. I was not sure how the concept and all of this would be received. Buzzsprout was like, you're going to get 16 views. That's what we're slating. You all said, nope, we finna triple that, quadruple that. I think I got over 75 views in the first week. So thank you, sincerely. And now a word from my sponsors. I don't have them yet. I'm working on them. Okay, we're manifesting sponsors by the end of this year. But today's episode is going to be heavy. It's going to leave you questioning things, and that is good. Questioning means you care. Today's episode is adjusting to anxiety. Let's just jump in. So for me, anxiety has always been a friend. You know, I didn't know what it was until I became an adult. But let's just start childhood. So growing up, I was a straight A student. I was a bit of an overachiever. However, it was masked as neurodivergent or gifted. I was in the optional program. I was in Clue and those things. Now, granted, I think 4th grade, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go because I was being bullied and picked on for being smart. You know, I was just like, I can't win for losing in these streets. There's one thing that I'm smart and another thing that I can sing and dance. But I couldn't do it all, apparently. And this is in elementary school. Now, I was bullied, not only by the students, but the teachers. And it was a thing. It was something I had to deal with in elementary school. I shouldn't have to, but I did. And the perfectionist or the need to be an overachiever has lived with me. At times, I feel like it's a bad thing. At times, I consider it a blessing. But I remember in the 3rd grade, I got my first C on a paper. It wasn't even on my report card. It was a paper. I got a C, and I came home and I cried. My mama looked at me and said, "Boy, what's wrong with you?" I said, "I got a C. Like, I got a C." She was like, "It's a C, but it's not like your report card. It was a test." And I was just like, "Yeah, but it's a C. Like, I don't get C's." I still graduated valedictorian in elementary school with all A's, but it was just that one C that really made me have a panic attack. Like, I thought I failed. So that was my introduction to anxiety, but I didn't know what it was. It was a panic attack. Fast forward, go to high school. I went to Overton High School, Performing Arts, the Overton High School. And I was in the choir. We were, like I said, a performing arts high school, but we were like number 1. I'm going to say it. We were number 1 back when I was in school. And our assistant principal, who was over the Kappa department, instilled in us a level of excellence. Like, we were the standard when it came to that environment. So whenever we would go to a performance or a competition or concert, you walked in, your folder was in your hand, you looked straight ahead. You did not look to your left or your right. You looked at the neck of the person in front of you. You didn't look at your friend, your mama, or your daddy. Okay, you would see them after the show, because once you got there, you were there for a reason. And I kept that with me the rest of my life. Listen, if I walk into, I'm there for a reason. Okay. And it was just that level of excellence that was expected. And so I carried it not knowing that it was okay to not do that all the time. And there was another instance in high school where I think I had a library book that I didn't return. I returned it. They just lost it. Or they didn't have record that I returned it. And they was like, you're not going to graduate. Me? Me? Not graduate? Oh, I called Norma instantly crying. Okay, I was crying. I was like, Mom, they gonna let me graduate. Like, I got, I'm graduating number 8. I got a 4.4 and they gonna let me graduate. She was like, boy, calm down. I needed to process those emotions so that I'll know it was okay to worry for a moment. And so I got through it, graduated, went to college. College was a whole different breed of anxiety, okay? If you're listening to this and you're a freshman going to college, don't do 8 a.m. classes. They're not worth it. You can do a 9-10 class, and it was the worst. So college anxiety was a whole different breed for me. But again, I didn't know what anxiety was. I called them panic attacks. Okay, they were just panic attacks. It wasn't until I matured and I experienced some life-changing moments. Getting a phone call, it was January 11th, my father passed. That triggered or was the beginning of my anxiety, the PTSD of it all. Even to this day, if I get a phone call at an odd time of day from a person I really don't talk to, triggered. Instantly triggered. And I tell people know to this day, like, don't text Justin beforehand and don't be like, you busy. If you text me, you busy, you better put everything in that text message after that. Don't, triggered. Okay. Those were moments when I led with anxiety. And it's something I still deal with. It's something I still deal with through therapy, is to combat the PTSD. When I first started therapy, it was required through my therapist. I don't know how your therapists operate. I don't know what their systems and processes are. I just know with mine. So I'm speaking from my experience. I had to do an anxiety test. I forgot the technical term for it, but it was a test to test my anxiety. I passed. High functioning anxiety over here. Like, I wear proudly because again, from perfectionist to high function anxiety, that's just how I roll. And it wasn't until the pandemic where it all just made sense. So there is a concept that became conceptualized during the pandemic, imposter syndrome. So during the pandemic, I didn't pivot, I expanded. For so long, we were taught that you can only do one thing. Like, you go to school, you get a degree. That degree is your focus. That degree is your brand. That degree is your retirement plan. So I didn't have the bandwidth or the knowledge to know that I can do both and. Because a lot of people say, you're doing too much. Or are you doing too little? You know, like, don't put me in a box just because you don't have the creativity to do more. So during the pandemic, I discovered the term imposter syndrome. Baby, let me tell you, imposter syndrome comes with its own demons, if you will, if you allow it. So I started Nelson Design Lab, which is my branding and marketing company where I work with organizations and influencers and people of that nature to help them, like, grow their digital blueprint or whatever. Y'all, I went to school again for music education. The teacher in me knew how to make things look good and knew how to make things make sense. The musician, dancer, performer in me knew how to make things feel and look creative. I ain't had no business side. So what did I do during the pandemic? Oh, baby, I took some certifications, okay? I was certified, Google certified. Yeah, I did all those things and started a business. When I got clients, I was like, oh, this is going to be very easy. I'm going to do this, that, get a check. This, that, get a check. No, it was this, and that, and that, and that. And all those that's, the imposter syndrome was just like, bro, you don't know what you're doing. you might want to back out now and just get on unemployment and chill. Take some time off. Just do what everyone else is doing and like just rest. Don't do anything. That wasn't in me. It's going back to childhood Justin. Like, you got to do something. You can't just sit, or you didn't know how to just sit around and do nothing. Like, even when you were a child, like science fair projects, it was, you could do a solar system, cut out construction paper, make a solar system. No, I did a 3D solar system. Like, I had styrofoam balls painted with glitter, with hanger wires fixated all throughout a box. Like, it was never the bare minimum. It was another project I did in 10th grade. We did, we had to collect leaves. We only had to do 10 out of a list of 25. I did all 25. I pressed the leaves. I labeled the leaves. I found every leaf in that project. I got 110 on that project. I wonder if she's taking my book because it was good. I did a lot of work. But anyway, fast forward, adult Justin. So imposter syndrome, introduced to that. And it still comes up sometimes because I still, even with this podcast, I was just like, Justin, do you have the authority to tell people about mental health? Have you lived? Yes. Like, you can talk about your experience. Now, I'm not telling you to go take medication. Like, no, I'm not doing anything that you wouldn't do with the conversation with another person. This is just me sharing my experience. With the imposter syndrome, during the pandemic, this amazing show, Lovecraft Country, came out. I'm still salty to this day that the show wasn't continued. Like, I don't want to say it was canceled because originally I think it was supposed to be a limited series because it's based off a book. And, you know, with most things, they change the book to fit film or whatever. And this one episode 7, Hippolyta. Boy, when I tell you that felt like a spiritual journey, it was so refreshing to see that type of story be personified from an intergalactic point of view almost to where anyone could be Hippolyta. Now, granted, it was very woman-centered and for the empowerment of Black women. But that day, that Sunday, when that episode, I was Hippolyta. Okay, give me a blue wig and I would have been Hippolyta. When she was told to name herself and she said, I am Hippolyta, I was like, I am Hippolyta. Okay, I'm Norma and Sam's son. I am Sam and Rod's brother. Like, I was naming it. But I wasn't in therapy yet. But the more I sit back and rewatch that episode and think about it, when it comes to naming something, you give it value, you give it a place, you give it meaning in a way. It's almost more tangible to the point where once you name it, you can then decide what you want to do with it. Fun fact. I am I am an ordained deacon at my home church in Memphis. So if the Baptist in me comes out in any episodes in this podcast, sit with it, okay? Because it's just going to happen. So once you name something, in this instance, we're naming anxiety. It doesn't have to become who you are. It's just a part of who you are. It doesn't take on your overall personality. So that's why I can say I live with anxiety, but it's not me. So now we're at Inside Out 2. And we meet a young lady named Riley. Riley is 14 and she's introduced to new emotions. So what I consider, you have your sophisticated emotions and your birth emotions like joy, anger, fear, sadness, and despair or disgust, those 5. But then as you get older, you're introduced to more emotions. For me, I didn't know what anxiety was. When I was a child, when I became an adult, I know now, good and darn well, what anxiety is. So Riley's having an anxiety attack towards the end of the film. Anxiety is showing out, okay? Took over all the other emotions in the background. Like, what can we do? How can we get little Riley out of this situation? And joy steps up and says to anxiety, you don't get to choose who Riley is, anxiety. You have to let her go. My God. This is churchy at this point. And it just speaks to how we allow anxiety to become our DNA and our brand. Like I said earlier, like I may have high functioning anxiety, but that's not who I am. It's something I'm dealing with. It's a part of me, but it's not who I am. But this other part, when all the other emotions stepped aside and sadness said, joy, Riley wants you. What are you choosing? Are you choosing joy in the moments of anxiety? Are you choosing happiness when sadness wants to steal your joy? And even joy was just like, sometimes I got to be delusional in these moments. Now, there was another thing that we're not going to really touch on in this episode, but the fact that Fear had a parachute and he was jumping on faith because of the parachute, man, listen, somebody on Disney Pixar team had to be a deacon, minister. It was too good to be true. Now, with all that said, and we talked about anxiety and imposter syndrome, there are some things that I went to my therapist about because I've had a lot of clients and I've had my share of anxiety attacks. There was one night I was dreaming about Excel spreadsheets. I was waking up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, corresponding with clients overseas just because I was stressed. The imposter syndrome kicked in because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I took on too many responsibilities. I was going to cause the company to fail. It was just like those burdens that I took on. It was anxiety. It was anxiety creating all these. I was fine. I was doing above and beyond. Like everyone's just like, you're doing a great job. Like, don't stress. It is easy for you to say when you're more akin to this. I'm not. Now you give me some music and a 6 count or 8 count, maybe I'm good. I can sleep easy. But with this now, I was up day and night trying to figure all this out. But there was a video I found on TikTok that listed some things. And I shared it with my therapist because, some people get on TikTok and they were just like, well, I'm not all this. And these are signs of anxiety. And these are signs of imposter syndrome. I was like, okay, so I'm going to take to my therapist who I trust. And these are the things that they listed. Exhaustion, emotional numbness, stomach pain or bloating, inconsistent body temperature. And it's funny because I don't like cuddling. I didn't for the longest. And I find that it was anxiety. I just get hot real quick. It was anxiety. Sleeping patterns. I feeling exhausted. I would wake up sleepy, feeling on edge. Okay, I was on the edge of glory. Mm-hmm. Lastly is a higher resting heart rate. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to the doctor's office to just have a checkup with the doctor because I hadn't had a physical in a while. Men, go get your physicals. And I wanted to also just get some blood work and stuff done since I've been vegan now for almost 10 years. And I was like, okay, this would be great. Got insurance. I can get these done. And they were just like, you're healthy, except your blood pressure is really high. And I was just like, if you work where I work, your blood pressure will always be high. Okay. Especially when I got it done early June, late May. Yeah, it was high, right? So they looked at me and the doctor's like, you okay? I was like, I'm fine. You telling me stuff I already know is going to make it higher. Like, I need you to calm down. You can't be stressed and stressing me out. Like, one of us got to be calm. So she was just like, that's a good way to deal with it, but you still need to lower it. I said, that's what I'm here for. So help me out. So we got it lower. I'm doing better. I'm taking the medicine for now, but things are adjusting. See what I did there? Yeah. So after I shared the list of things with my therapist, they came through with some gems. So this is where I want y'all to write some stuff down. We live in a very capitalistic society. And with imposter syndrome and anxiety, it comes sometimes with white comfort. And oftentimes we as Black people, I as a Black man, have to adjust to white comfort sometimes for the sake of just getting the job done. But my therapist said, in white comfort, make sure you're always checking in with your worth. Because no job, no situation, whether white or Black, should make you feel less than worth than, because less than or unworthy, because you know what you possess. Secondly, there's this creator, he's hilarious, but he always talking about capitalism won't disrupt my creativity or whatever. So my therapist is just like, don't let capitalism disrupt your creativity. I said, okay, we won't do that. And I'm very much of the mind, if I'm not vibing with it, I gotta go. Life is too short. And then another thing my therapist said, learn to use concern as a way to navigate through life so that you don't disrupt your purpose. I'm going to say that again. Learn to use concern as a way to navigate through life so that you don't disrupt your purpose. If your concern or anxiety is not aligning with your purpose, it's not worth it. I've seen too many people not live to their fullest potential. Now, I didn't say die, but not live to their fullest potential because they were trapped, because they allowed the paycheck to paycheck or filling someone else's dream or living up to someone else's standard trap them and take away their joy. Don't do that. It's not worth it. It's really not. I don't feel that we were put on this earth to navigate like that. Now, if you want to go read Ephesians chapter 6 and talk about, what's, slaves in your mind, you can do that. You fine. Do you, boo. But in this podcast and in this space, we're not doing that. So I want you all to take that away. Like, know that anxiety exists for a reason. We're going back to Inside Out too. Know that you can have both and. Joy and anxiety can work together. Anger, fear, sadness, hope, all these things are necessary. Because at the end, you saw, in Inside 2, you saw that the sense of self operates best when all the parts, all the emotions, the sophisticated emotion, the suppressed emotion, all those emotions can work together to make the best you. So remember, anxiety does not define who you are. It's just part of who you are. And that's how we're going to roll. Okay. So as always, thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry this episode got deep, but this is how things are. Like, if you are a real friend of mine and we've had conversations, this is how my phone conversations go. And I get tired. That's why I'm talking on the phone a lot. I get tired. But thanks for tuning in. See you all next week. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you take something away to help you make the adjustments you need. Before you go, please take a quick second to share this with someone you care about. And if you can, please leave a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. For more information about adjusting or to inquire about being a guest, head over to adjustingpod.com. Until next time.